It was a crisp autumn morning in the small town of Brookhaven, the kind of morning where the air felt charged with the promise of change. Sam Mitchell, a 43-year-old contractor known for his reliability and straightforward nature, was pulling into the driveway of his suburban home. The house, a two-story craftsman with neatly trimmed hedges and a red front door, was a testament to his hard work and dedication. Sam had built this life brick by brick. Literally, every inch of this home was a product of his sweat and late nights. A home he shared with his wife, Emily, and their 17-year-old daughter, Lily. Emily was an interior designer with a keen eye for details and a smile that had captivated Sam from the moment they met. They were a family that looked perfect from the outside, with laughter often ringing through the halls. But perfection is just a facade, isn't it? Beneath the surface, cracks were beginning to form. As Sam parked his truck, he noticed something off. Emily's car was in the driveway, a rare sight during work hours. Usually, she'd be out consulting clients or visiting job sites, but today, her sleek white sedan was parked neatly next to the mailbox. Inside, the smell of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air. Sam called out, "Emily? You're home early." Her voice floated back from the kitchen. "I had a last-minute cancellation. Thought I'd get some work done here instead." Sam stepped into the kitchen, his boots making a familiar thud against the hardwood floor. Emily stood by the counter, her blonde hair tied back in a loose ponytail. She wore one of her signature tailored blouses, but Sam noticed her hands trembling slightly as she sipped her coffee. "You okay?" he asked, his brow furrowing with concern. Emily forced a smile, her green eyes darting away from his. "Yeah, just a little tired." It wasn't unusual for Emily to be busy. Her interior design business had been thriving lately, but something about her demeanor felt off. Sam chose not to push. He grabbed a coffee mug and poured himself a cup, the silence stretching just a little too long for comfort. Later that evening, the family gathered around the dinner table. Lily, always the vibrant teenager, chatted excitedly about her upcoming school play. Sam smiled as he listened, though his eyes kept drifting toward Emily. She was quieter than usual, her attention fixed on her plate. "Mom, you okay?" Lily asked, her tone tinged with curiosity. Emily glanced up, startled. "Oh yes, just thinking about work. You know how it is." Sam couldn't help but notice the way Emily's hand lingered near her phone, which was flipped screen down on the table. It vibrated twice during dinner, each time drawing her attention, though she didn't pick it up. It was unusual. Emily was usually the type to answer texts immediately, especially if it was a client. After dinner, Sam decided to take a walk. The cool night air cleared his head as he strolled through the neighborhood. He passed neighbors who waved hello, but his mind kept returning to Emily. Something felt wrong, but he couldn't put his finger on it. She'd been distant for weeks now, more preoccupied than usual. He told himself it was probably nothing, just the stress of her growing business. But that nagging feeling in his gut wouldn't let go. The following morning, Sam left for work early. As he pulled out of the driveway, he glanced back at the house. The curtains in the master bedroom shifted slightly, as though someone was peeking out. He waved, though no one waved back. Sam's day was a flurry of activity. The construction project he was overseeing demanded his full attention, but even as he reviewed blueprints and managed his crew, his mind kept drifting to Emily. By the time lunch rolled around, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was happening behind his back. He pulled out his phone and texted Emily, "Hope your day's going well. Thinking about you." Her reply came minutes later, "Busy with clients. Call you later." It was a normal response, yet it felt distant, like the emotional connection that once laced her texts had disappeared. That evening, Sam arrived home to find Emily sitting on the couch, her laptop open and a glass of wine in her hand. Lily was upstairs, music blasting from her room. Emily looked up as Sam entered, her expression unreadable. "You're working late," he said, setting his keys on the counter. "Just catching up on emails," she replied, closing her laptop a little too quickly. Sam sat down next to her, resting a hand on her knee. "Everything okay? You've been distant lately." Emily hesitated, her fingers tightening around the stem of her wine glass. "I'm fine, Sam. Just a lot on my plate." He nodded, though her words did little to ease his growing unease. They sat in silence for a while, the only sound coming from the TV playing a rerun of a show they used to watch together. The warmth that had once filled their home felt muted now, replaced by an invisible tension neither of them dared to address. The next day, as Sam left for work, he couldn't ignore the nagging suspicion that something was going on. So, instead of heading straight to the job site, he parked a few blocks away and waited. An hour passed, then another. Just as he was about to give up and chalk it all up to paranoia, a car pulled into the driveway. A sleek black sedan he didn't recognize. Sam's heart sank as he watched a man step out of the car. Dressed in a tailored suit, the stranger strode confidently to the front door. Emily greeted him with a smile, one that Sam hadn't seen in months. They disappeared inside, leaving Sam sitting in his truck, his thoughts racing. Was it a client? A colleague? Or was it something worse? He clenched the steering wheel, debating whether to confront them or wait for answers. Later that evening, Sam returned home to find Emily acting as though nothing had happened. She greeted him with a kiss on the cheek and asked about his day, her demeanor warm and cheerful. But Sam couldn't shake the image of her smiling at that man. As the days went on, Sam began to notice more strange behavior. Emily's phone was always face down, and she'd step out of the room to take certain calls. She started staying out later, claiming she had back-to-back meetings with clients. And then there was the new perfume, a scent he didn't recognize, one she hadn't worn for him. Sam decided he couldn't ignore the signs any longer. If there was something going on, he needed to know. But how far was he willing to go to uncover the truth? Sam couldn't shake the image of the man in the black sedan. That night, as he lay in bed next to Emily, he replayed the moment over and over, dissecting every detail. The way she had greeted the man, her smile bright and welcoming. The way they disappeared inside the house, as if Sam's existence didn't even matter. Beside him, Emily slept soundly, her breathing steady and calm. Sam stared at the ceiling, his thoughts a tangled mess. He had to know what was going on. The trust he'd built with Emily over 2 decades of marriage felt like it was slipping through his fingers. The next morning, he decided to take matters into his own hands. Sam kissed Emily goodbye as usual, her smile now tinged with a trace of guilt that she probably thought he wouldn't notice. "Have a good day, hon," she said, her tone cheerful but hollow. "You too," he replied, forcing a smile of his own. Instead of heading to work, Sam parked his truck a few houses down and waited. If the man showed up again, Sam wanted to see exactly what was going on. Hours passed, and just when Sam began to think he might have overreacted, the black sedan returned. The same man stepped out, carrying a briefcase this time. He looked sharp and confident, the kind of man who could command attention in any room. Sam clenched his fists as he watched the stranger knock on his front door. Emily answered almost immediately, her expression lighting up in a way that made Sam's stomach churn. This time, he wasn't going to sit idly by. Sam stepped out of his truck and crossed the street, his boots crunching against the gravel. He was about halfway to the house when his phone buzzed. It was a call from one of his foremen. "Sam, we've got an issue at the site. The shipment's late, and the crew is stuck waiting." Sam hesitated, torn between handling his job and confronting whatever was happening in his own home. After a moment, he turned back toward his truck. "I'll be there in 15, he said, his voice tight. But even as he drove to the site, his mind remained fixed on Emily and the man in the black sedan. Who was he? A client? A colleague? Or something far worse? That evening, Sam decided to confront Emily, but not directly. He didn't want to come across as paranoid or accusatory, at least not yet. Instead, he opted for subtlety. "So, how was your day?" he asked casually as they sat down to dinner. Emily barely looked up from her plate. "Busy. A lot of client meetings." Sam's chest tightened. "Anyone interesting?" Her fork paused midair for a split second before she continued eating. "Just the usual." "Why?" "No reason," Sam said, forcing a smile. "Just curious." Emily offered a faint smile in return, but her eyes didn't meet his. The conversation quickly shifted to Lily, who was excitedly recounting her plans for the school play. But Sam could barely focus. He was too busy analyzing every word, every glance, every subtle gesture from Emily. The next day, Sam decided to take a more proactive approach. He called his friend Greg, a retired police officer who now worked as a private investigator. If anyone could help him get to the bottom of this, it was Greg. "Sam, are you sure about this?" Greg asked after hearing the situation. "I need to know, Greg. I can't live like this, questioning everything. I need proof one way or the other." Greg sighed. "All right, I'll see what I can find. Give me a couple of days." With Greg on the case, Sam tried to focus on work, but it was nearly impossible. Every time his phone buzzed, his heart raced, wondering if it was Greg with an update. By the third day, Sam was barely holding it together. Finally, Greg called. "We need to meet," he said. His tone was serious, devoid of any of the light-hearted banter they usually shared. They met at a quiet diner on the edge of town. Greg slid into the booth across from Sam, a manila envelope in hand. He placed it on the table but didn't open it right away. "What did you find?" Sam asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Greg hesitated. "Are you sure you want to see this? Once you do, there's no going back." Sam's jaw tightened. "Show me." Greg opened the envelope and pulled out a series of photographs. The first few showed Emily meeting the man from the black sedan at a local cafe. They were sitting across from each other, leaning in close as they talked. Then there were pictures of them entering a hotel together, their expressions too familiar, too comfortable. Sam's hands trembled as he flipped through the images. Each one felt like a punch to the gut. The woman he'd built his life with was smiling, laughing, sharing moments of intimacy with another man. "There's more," Greg said, sliding a sheet of paper across the table. "His name is Daniel Harper. He's a financial consultant from out of town. Married. 2 kids. Sam stared at the paper, his vision blurring with rage. "How long?" "Hard to say. From what I've gathered, it's been at least 3 months. 3 months. 90 days of lies and deception." Sam felt like the ground had been ripped out from under him. He shoved the photos back into the envelope and stood abruptly. "Sam, wait," Greg began, but Sam was already out the door. When Sam returned home that evening, he found Emily in the living room, scrolling through her phone. She looked up, startled, as he entered. "You're home early," she said, her voice tinged with nervousness. Sam didn't respond. He walked past her and into his office, slamming the door behind him. He couldn't confront her, not yet. He needed time to process, to figure out his next move. That night, as Emily slept, Sam sat in his truck, staring at the envelope on the passenger seat. His world had been turned upside down, but one thing was certain. He wasn't going to let this betrayal go unanswered. If you're invested in this story and want to know how it all unfolds, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more captivating tales. Sam sat in the dim glow of his garage, the manila envelope still resting on the workbench where he'd tossed it. The photographs inside felt like a grenade in his life, their presence radiating tension and unresolved anger. His mind reeled with questions. How could Emily do this? How long had she been hiding it? And perhaps most painfully, why wasn't he enough? It was after midnight, and the house was silent except for the faint ticking of the kitchen clock. Sam hadn't even noticed when Emily went to bed. He hadn't eaten dinner. His thoughts churned, and beneath the fury and confusion, a simmering determination began to take hold. This wasn't just about him anymore. This was about the life they had built, the trust they had shattered, and the future he wasn't about to let be stolen without a fight. The next morning, Sam confronted the day with a renewed sense of purpose. Emily greeted him with her usual morning routine. A kiss on the cheek, a quick good morning, and an absent smile. For a fleeting moment, Sam questioned whether she was capable of hiding so much under such a calm facade. But then he remembered the pictures, the hotel, Daniel Harper. He played along for now, waiting for his moment. Busy day ahead? Sam asked as they sipped their coffee at the kitchen counter. Emily hesitated briefly, then nodded. A couple of client meetings this afternoon. Shouldn't be too late. Sam fought the urge to call out her lie right then and there. Instead, he smiled, a cold and controlled expression that masked the storm raging within. Sounds like a full schedule. Let me know if you need anything. Emily returned his smile, oblivious to the tension brimming beneath his words. Thanks, hon. I'll see you tonight. After she left, Sam pulled out his phone and dialed Greg. I need you to follow her again today, he said. His voice was sharp, leaving no room for hesitation. Already on it, Greg replied. If she's meeting Harper, I'll have the proof you need. Sam ended the call and sat in his truck, gripping the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. He couldn't sit idly by anymore. This was about reclaiming control, about holding Emily accountable for the betrayal she had brought into their home. The confrontation begins. Greg's call came around 2 p.m. They're at the same cafe as last time, he said. Looks like they're getting comfortable. You want me to keep going? No, Sam replied. I'll handle it from here. Sam drove to the cafe, his heart pounding in his chest. The scene inside confirmed everything he'd seen in the photographs. Emily sat across from Daniel, her posture relaxed, her smile wide. They were leaning in close, their heads nearly touching as they spoke in hushed tones. It was a picture-perfect betrayal. Sam entered the cafe, his boots hitting the tile floor with deliberate force. Emily's smile faltered the moment she saw him. Daniel, oblivious to the storm brewing, glanced up casually before freezing in his seat. Sam, Emily stammered, her voice trembling. What are you doing here? Sam ignored her and fixed his gaze on Daniel. You must be Daniel Harper, he said, his tone icy. I've heard so much about you. Daniel shifted uncomfortably, his confidence crumbling under Sam's glare. I think there's been a misunderstanding. Sam's laugh was cold and devoid of humor. Oh, there's no misunderstanding. I know exactly who you are. I know what you've been doing. The question is, do you know what you've gotten yourself into? Emily stood abruptly, placing herself between the two men. Sam, stop. Let's talk about this somewhere else. Oh, we're talking about it right here, Sam snapped. His voice carried across the cafe, drawing the attention of nearby patrons. You brought this into our lives, Emily. You don't get to control how I respond. Daniel began to rise from his seat, his eyes darting toward the exit. Look, man, I think I should go. Sam took a step closer, his voice dropping to a menacing whisper. If you're smart, you'll stay right there. We're not done. Breaking point. The argument that ensued was a whirlwind of accusations, denials, and half-hearted apologies. Emily's tears flowed freely, but they did little to soften the fury in Sam's eyes. For every excuse she offered, Sam countered with the damning evidence Greg had gathered. You lied to me, Emily, over and over again. How many times did you sneak away to meet him? How many nights did you look me in the eye and pretend nothing was wrong? I didn't mean for this to happen, Emily sobbed. It just got out of control. Sam shook his head, disgusted. Don't insult me with your excuses. You made choices, Emily. You knew exactly what you were doing. Daniel, sensing an opportunity to escape, muttered something about needing to leave. Sam didn't stop him this time. His focus was entirely on Emily now. We're going home, he said firmly, and we're going to figure out what happens next. Emily nodded, her face pale and tear-streaked. The drive home was silent, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Sam's mind raced with possibilities. He didn't know what the future held, but one thing was certain. Life as they knew it was over. The fallout. Over the next few days, the reality of the situation began to set in. Emily moved into the guest room, her presence in the house a constant reminder of the betrayal that had shattered their family. Conversations were brief and tense, filled with unspoken resentment and lingering pain. Sam's focus shifted to Lily, who had begun to notice the strain between her parents. Is everything okay? She asked one evening, her wide eyes filled with worry. Sam knelt beside her, forcing a reassuring smile. Things are a little complicated right now, sweetheart, but no matter what happens, we both love you very much. Lily nodded, but the uncertainty in her expression lingered. Sam vowed to protect her from the fallout as much as possible, even as his own world continued to crumble. A new resolve. Sam's next step was clear. He needed to take control of the situation. He contacted a divorce attorney, gathering the evidence Greg had compiled to strengthen his case. He also met with a financial advisor to ensure his assets were protected. Emily, meanwhile, seemed lost in her own guilt and regret. She made half-hearted attempts to reconcile, but Sam's trust had been irrevocably broken. Each time she approached him, he felt the walls around his heart grow thicker, the distance between them more insurmountable. One evening, as Sam reviewed documents in his office, Emily knocked softly on the door. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice trembling. Sam didn't look up. "What's there to talk about?" "I made a mistake," she began, tears streaming down her face. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I want to make things right." Sam finally met her gaze, his expression cold. "You can't undo what you've done, Emily. You destroyed our marriage. You betrayed our family. There's no coming back from that." Her sobs echoed through the room as she turned and walked away. Sam watched her go, feeling a strange mixture of sadness and satisfaction. For the first time in weeks, he felt like he was regaining control of his life. Stay tuned for the next chapter in this gripping story, where the consequences of betrayal come to a head. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more compelling tales. Sam had always believed himself to be a man of patience and composure. But as the days passed, each interaction with Emily tested the limits of his restraint. She moved through the house like a ghost, her presence both haunting and infuriating. The walls seemed to echo with unspoken words, their home transformed into a battlefield of silence and simmering tension. Lily remained Sam's anchor, her innocence a painful reminder of what was at stake. She spent more time at her friend's house, and Sam couldn't decide whether to be grateful or heartbroken over the distance growing between them. He knew she sensed the tension but had no way of understanding the storm brewing beneath the surface. The breaking point. One evening, as Sam sat in the living room scrolling through his phone, he noticed Emily standing in the doorway. Her face was pale, her hands clutching a stack of envelopes. Without a word, she handed them to him and sat down across the room. "What's this?" Sam asked, flipping through the papers. They were letters from Daniel. Apologies, pleas, and explanations written in messy, hurried script. "I thought you should see them," Emily said, her voice barely above a whisper. "He's trying to make amends." Sam laughed bitterly. "Amends? For what exactly? Destroying our marriage or betraying our family?" Emily flinched at his words. "He's not the only one at fault, Sam. I'm the one who let this happen." "You're damn right you are," Sam snapped. "But don't think for a second that excuses him, or you." The tension in the room crackled like static. Emily's eyes filled with tears, but Sam felt no sympathy. He had given her everything, and she had thrown it all away for a fling. His anger had reached a boiling point, and he was done holding back. "You want to fix this?" Sam continued, his voice rising. "Tell me why I should believe a single word you say. Convince me you deserve another chance." Emily opened her mouth to respond, but no words came. The weight of her betrayal hung heavy in the air, suffocating any attempt at reconciliation. Sam stood abruptly, the letters slipping from his hand and scattering across the floor. "I can't do this," he said, walking toward the door. "Not with you." The intervention. The next day, Sam met with his lawyer, Amanda, a sharp and no-nonsense woman who had seen her fair share of messy divorces. He laid out everything, the photos, the letters, the lies, and waited for her to deliver the cold, hard truth. "You have a strong case," Amanda said, tapping her pen against her legal pad. "The evidence is damning, and it's clear she was unfaithful. But if you want full custody of Lily, we need to tread carefully." Sam nodded, his jaw tight. "I'll do whatever it takes." Amanda leaned forward, her gaze piercing. This isn't just about winning, Sam. It's about making sure Lily comes out of this as unscathed as possible. That means being strategic, not vindictive. Sam exhaled sharply, his frustration bubbling beneath the surface. I'm not trying to be vindictive. I just want to protect my daughter. Amanda studied him for a moment before nodding. Good. Then let's focus on what matters most. The revelation. That evening, as Sam prepared dinner for Lily, his phone buzzed with a message from Greg. It was a video file, accompanied by a single line of text. You need to see this. Sam hesitated before pressing play. The footage was grainy but clear enough to make his stomach drop. It showed Emily and Daniel outside a restaurant, their conversation heated. Daniel gestured wildly, his face red with frustration. Emily looked distraught, her hands covering her face as she turned away from him. The video ended abruptly, leaving Sam with more questions than answers. He called Greg immediately. What the hell is this? He demanded. Caught them yesterday, Greg replied. Looks like things aren't as rosy as they'd like you to believe. Thought you'd want to know. Sam's grip tightened on the phone. Keep watching. I need everything. Greg's voice was steady. You got it. The turning point. That night, Sam confronted Emily once more. She was sitting at the kitchen table, staring blankly at her phone. When Sam placed his phone in front of her, the video paused on the image of her and Daniel, her eyes widened. Explain, Sam said, his voice low and steady. Emily's lips trembled as she struggled to find the words. It's not what it looks like. Sam slammed his hand on the table, making her jump. Don't insult me, Emily. Tell me the truth. Tears streamed down her face as she finally broke. It's over, Sam. I ended it. Sam felt a pang of something. Relief, perhaps, but it was quickly overshadowed by the anger that had been festering for weeks. Why now? Because he's done with you? Or because you finally realized the mess you've made? Emily's sobs grew louder, but Sam refused to let her guilt sway him. He had given her every opportunity to come clean, to make amends, and she had squandered them all. This doesn't change anything, he said, his voice cold. You still lied. You still betrayed me. And you still destroyed our family. Emily looked up at him, her eyes red and pleading. I'm trying, Sam. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. But Sam had heard enough. He turned and walked away, leaving her alone with her regrets. The plan. The following morning, Sam met with Amanda again, ready to take the next steps. He outlined his priorities: securing custody of Lily, protecting his assets, and ensuring Emily faced the consequences of her actions. This won't be easy, Amanda warned. But with the evidence you've gathered, we have a strong foundation. Sam nodded, his resolve unwavering. Let's get to work. As he left the office, a sense of determination washed over him. He wasn't just fighting for himself. He was fighting for Lily, for the life they deserved, and for the future that had been jeopardized by Emily's choices. Stay tuned as the story hurtles toward its gripping climax, where long-held secrets come to light and the final confrontations bring everything to a head. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more intense recaps like this one. Sam had been a man of patience, but as the days passed, the urgency in his heart grew stronger. Emily's presence in the house felt like a time bomb ticking closer to detonation. And then, it happened, the catalyst that pushed everything into overdrive. The hidden account. Greg's investigation bore fruit sooner than expected. Sam was in his office when the email came through. He clicked the attachment and froze. A detailed breakdown of a hidden bank account appeared on the screen. It was registered under Emily's name, with several large transactions from their joint account transferred discreetly over the past 2 years. The recipient? A travel agency that specialized in luxury getaways. Sam's mind raced. He clenched his fists, his nails digging into his palms. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the planning, the deception, the gall to siphon funds from their shared life to fuel her secret one. He called Amanda immediately. We need to talk. Now. The confrontation. That evening, Sam couldn't wait any longer. Emily was in the kitchen preparing dinner when he walked in. He placed the printed documents on the counter, watching her expression shift from confusion to dread. "What is this?" she asked, her voice trembling. "You tell me," Sam said, his tone colder than ever. "Because it looks like you've been stealing from me." Emily's face crumpled, her hands shaking as she tried to explain. "It wasn't like that. I needed something for myself." "For yourself?" Sam's voice rose, his anger bubbling over. "You mean for you and Daniel, don't you?" Her silence was damning. She opened her mouth to respond, but Sam cut her off. "Do you have any idea what you've done? This isn't just about money. You destroyed everything. Our trust, our marriage, and now you want to play the victim." Emily's tears fell freely, but Sam didn't feel even a flicker of sympathy. The woman standing before him wasn't the Emily he thought he knew. She was a stranger who had dismantled the life they'd built together piece by piece. Lily's revelation. Just as the argument reached a fever pitch, Lily walked in, her backpack slung over one shoulder. She froze in the doorway, her wide eyes darting between her parents. "What's going on?" she asked, her voice small. Sam took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. "Lily, we need to talk." Emily started to protest, but Sam held up a hand. "No more lies. She deserves the truth." They sat Lily down in the living room, Sam explaining the situation in terms a young teenager could understand. Emily tried to interject, but each time, Sam silenced her with a firm glare. By the end of it, Lily's face was pale, her eyes brimming with tears. "Is it true, Mom?" she whispered. "Did you really?" Emily reached for her daughter, but Lily pulled away, her voice trembling. "I trusted you." The room was silent except for Lily's quiet sobs. Sam's heart broke for his daughter, but he knew this moment was necessary. She needed to see the truth, no matter how painful. The decision. The next morning, Sam met with Amanda again. He handed her the latest documents, detailing Emily's financial betrayal. "This changes everything," Amanda said, scanning the papers. "We can use this to push for full custody. The court won't look kindly on her actions." Sam nodded, his resolve firm. "I want her out of the house by the end of the week. Lily stays with me." Amanda hesitated. "You know this won't be easy, right? Emily will fight back. She'll try to paint you as the bad guy." "Let her try," Sam said, his voice steely. "I'm done playing nice." The last straw. Emily's resistance came as no surprise. She hired her own lawyer, who wasted no time trying to discredit Sam. Claims of emotional unavailability and workaholism were thrown around, but Sam remained unfazed. He had the truth on his side, and he wasn't afraid to use it. Then, Greg delivered another bombshell. A new series of photos showed Emily meeting Daniel again. Despite her claims that the affair was over, the images were undeniable, the timestamps proving she had continued to lie even after being caught. Sam confronted her one last time. "How long were you planning to keep this up?" "Until there was nothing left to destroy." Emily didn't respond. Her silence was all the confirmation he needed. The courtroom battle. The custody hearing was tense, both sides presenting their cases with vigor. Emily's lawyer tried to paint her as a loving mother who had made mistakes but was willing to atone. Sam's team countered with hard evidence of her financial and emotional betrayals, leaving little room for doubt. The judge's decision came swiftly. Full custody was awarded to Sam, with Emily granted supervised visitation. The financial fallout was equally severe. Emily ordered to repay the funds she had stolen and to cover Sam's legal fees. As they left the courtroom, Emily approached Sam, her eyes filled with desperation. "Please, Sam, don't take Lily away from me." Sam's expression was unreadable. "You did that to yourself." The aftermath. With the legal battles behind him, Sam focused on rebuilding his life. He and Lily moved into a new house, a fresh start free from the shadows of the past. Their bond grew stronger, the shared pain of betrayal forging an unbreakable connection. Emily, on the other hand, struggled to piece her life back together. Her relationship with Daniel fizzled out, the weight of their actions proving too much to bear. She moved to a small apartment across town, her once glamorous life reduced to a distant memory. The climax, closure. One evening, Sam and Lily sat on the porch of their new home, watching the sunset. Lily turned to her father, her voice hesitant. "Do you think things will ever be normal again?" Sam placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Maybe not the way they were before, but we'll find a new normal. One that's better, stronger." Lily smiled, a flicker of hope lighting her face. For the first time in months, Sam felt a sense of peace. The storm had passed, and while the scars remained, they were a reminder of his strength, a testament to his resilience. Stay tuned for the emotional resolution of this story in the final chapter. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more gripping tales like this one. Sam felt the weight of the custody battle looming over him. Every step forward seemed to reveal another pitfall, and each new discovery about Emily's betrayal only added fuel to the fire. Yet, beneath the stress and anger, there was determination. He wasn't just fighting for himself anymore. He was fighting for Lily's future. The meeting with Amanda took an unexpected turn. While reviewing the case, she presented new evidence. A series of emails from Emily to Daniel that had been leaked anonymously. The messages weren't just flirtatious. They revealed detailed plans about their future, including discussions of taking Lily away from Sam. "She was planning to leave with Lily?" Sam asked, his voice barely above a whisper. His hand tightened around the edge of the desk, the knuckles white. Amanda nodded grimly. "If these emails are legitimate, she wasn't just cheating on you. She was planning to uproot your daughter's life entirely." The revelation left Sam reeling. This wasn't just about betrayal anymore. It was about protecting his daughter from a mother who clearly prioritized her own desires over her child's well-being. Back at home, Lily noticed the tension in her father. Though he tried to keep up a brave front, she wasn't fooled. "Dad," she said one evening as they sat on the couch, a bowl of popcorn untouched between them, "is this about Mom?" Sam hesitated before nodding. "Yeah, sweetheart, it is. But you don't need to worry. I'm taking care of it." Lily leaned against him, her small frame warm and reassuring. "I know you will." Her trust in him was both comforting and devastating. Sam vowed then and there that he wouldn't let her down, no matter the cost. The next morning, Sam received an unexpected call from Emily. Her tone was different. Not the defiant or dismissive Emily he'd grown accustomed to during their separation, but one laced with fear. "Sam, we need to talk," she said quickly. I think I made a mistake." Sam's stomach churned at her words, but he kept his tone neutral. "What kind of mistake, Emily?" She hesitated before admitting, "Daniel, he's not who I thought he was. He's been pushing me for money, and when I refused, he threatened to tell the court lies about you." It was an almost laughable attempt to gain sympathy, but Sam knew better. Emily wasn't coming clean because she regretted her actions. She was trying to save herself. "That's not my problem, Emily," Sam said, his voice like ice. "You made your choices. Now live with them." He ended the call, his resolve hardening. This wasn't just about custody anymore. It was about ensuring Emily couldn't manipulate anyone else in her life. Later that week, Sam received a tip from Greg. Daniel had been seen meeting with a local attorney, one known for handling high-profile custody battles. The implication was clear. Daniel was gearing up to fight for a role in Lily's life. The thought sent a cold wave of fury through Sam. This man, this stranger, who had already played a role in destroying his marriage, was now trying to insert himself into his daughter's life? It was unacceptable. "We need to go on the offensive," Amanda suggested during their next meeting. "If Daniel is truly planning this, we can use his history and motives against him." Sam nodded. "Do whatever it takes." Everything came to a head one evening when Sam arrived home to find Emily waiting on his doorstep. She looked disheveled, her once pristine appearance replaced by a frazzled, desperate woman. "What are you doing here?" Sam asked, keeping his voice low so as not to alert Lily inside. "I need to talk to you," she pleaded. "Please, just hear me out." Against his better judgment, Sam allowed her inside. They sat in the living room, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. "I made a mistake," Emily began, her voice trembling. "I see that now. Daniel, he's not who I thought he was. He's been using me, Sam. And I—" "Stop," Sam interrupted, his tone sharp. "Don't try to shift the blame. This isn't about Daniel. It's about you. You made these choices. You hurt our family. And now you're reaping what you sowed." Emily's tears spilled over, but Sam felt no sympathy. For the first time, he saw her for what she truly was. A woman who valued her own desires above all else, even her daughter's well-being. As the argument escalated, Lily came downstairs. Her presence silenced both adults instantly. "What's going on?" she asked, her voice steady but laced with hurt. Sam glanced at Emily, waiting for her to speak. But when she didn't, he stepped forward. "Your mom and I are just talking, sweetheart." Lily crossed her arms. "No, you're arguing. Again. And I'm tired of it." Her words hit like a sledgehammer, the weight of her pain evident in every syllable. She turned to Emily, her voice breaking. "Why couldn't you just be honest with us? With me?" Emily reached for her, but Lily stepped back. "I trusted you, Mom. I believed in you. And you lied to me." The room fell silent, the weight of Lily's words hanging heavy in the air. Emily looked as if she'd been struck, her face pale and drawn. That night, after Emily had left, Sam sat with Lily, holding her close as she cried. He realized then that the battle wasn't just about legal documents or court hearings. It was about healing the wounds Emily had inflicted on their family. "Dad," Lily said softly, her voice muffled against his chest. "I just want things to be okay again." "They will be," Sam promised, his voice steady. "I don't know how yet, but they will be." The next day, Sam met with Amanda to finalize their strategy. They had everything they needed to secure full custody. Emily's financial misconduct, her continued involvement with Daniel, and now Lily's testimony about how her mother's actions had hurt her. "We'll present this in court next week," Amanda said. "And if everything goes as planned, you'll have full custody." Sam nodded, the weight of the past months pressing heavily on his shoulders. But for the first time in a long time, he felt a glimmer of hope. The courtroom was silent as the judge reviewed the final documents. The weight of months of tension condensed into a single moment. Sam sat at the plaintiff's table, his hands resting firmly on the polished wood. Beside him, Amanda projected confidence, her well-organized stack of evidence ready to close the chapter on this painful saga. Across the room, Emily looked small, her once pristine demeanor diminished under the glare of the courtroom lights. Lily wasn't present. Sam had decided to shield her from the confrontation, but her absence hung heavy in the air. The judge finally spoke, her voice even but firm. After reviewing the evidence and testimony presented, the court awards full custody of Lily to Samuel Carter. Ms. Emily Carter will retain visitation rights, subject to approval by the court. A wave of relief swept over Sam. He had fought tooth and nail to protect Lily, and now he had succeeded. The fight wasn't just about legal custody. It was a declaration that he wouldn't let his family be fractured by betrayal any longer. Outside the courthouse, Emily approached Sam cautiously. She looked fragile, a shadow of the confident woman she had once been. "Sam," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm sorry." Sam regarded her, his expression unreadable. "You're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry for what you lost." Emily's eyes welled with tears. "I know I've hurt you. I know I've hurt Lily. I just want to make things right." "Making things right starts with taking responsibility," Sam said. "For Lily's sake, I hope you mean it. But right now, she needs stability. She needs honesty. And I'll make sure she gets that." Emily nodded, her tears falling silently. For the first time in months, she didn't argue or deflect. She simply walked away, her silhouette shrinking as she disappeared down the courthouse steps. Over the next few weeks, life slowly began to settle into a new normal for Sam and Lily. Their home, once filled with the echoes of anger and betrayal, now felt lighter. Sam worked tirelessly to create an environment of safety and love for Lily. The small rituals they'd once taken for granted, family dinners, movie nights, walks in the park, became the foundation for rebuilding their bond. One evening, as they sat together on the porch watching the sunset, Lily broke the silence. "Dad, do you think we'll ever feel normal again?" Sam smiled gently. "I think we'll find a new normal, and maybe it'll be even better than before." Lily leaned her head on his shoulder, a contented sigh escaping her lips. "I believe you." Emily didn't disappear entirely. True to the court's orders, she attended therapy sessions and worked on repairing her fractured relationship with Lily. It wasn't an easy process. Lily remained guarded, hesitant to let her mother back into her heart. But Emily persisted, showing up for every scheduled visit and proving, in small but significant ways, that she was committed to change. During one of their sessions, Emily looked at her daughter with raw honesty. "Lily, I know I've failed you, but I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep trying, no matter how long it takes, because you're worth it." For the first time, Lily didn't pull away. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was a beginning. Sam found himself rediscovering parts of his life that had been on hold for far too long. He reconnected with old friends, pursued hobbies he'd once loved, and even started dating again. Though cautious, he allowed himself to hope for a future where love didn't come with the sting of betrayal. One evening, as he prepared dinner, Lily entered the kitchen with a mischievous grin. "So, when are you going to tell me about her?" Sam nearly dropped the knife he was holding. "Her? You're smiling more," Lily teased. "You're singing in the shower. And you're definitely not wearing that shirt just for me." Sam chuckled, ruffling her hair. "When there's something to tell, you'll be the first to know." In the quiet moments, Sam often reflected on the journey that had brought them here. The betrayal, the pain, the endless nights of doubt. They were scars he would carry forever. But those scars also told a story of resilience, of fighting for what mattered most. He thought of Emily, of the woman she once was and the choices that had led to their downfall. While he didn't wish her ill, he also didn't feel the need to forgive her. Some wounds weren't meant to heal completely, but when he looked at Lily, her laughter filling their home once again, he knew it had all been worth it. And so life went on. Not perfectly, but honestly. Sam and Lily found strength in each other, building a future that wasn't defined by the mistakes of the past. As for Emily, her journey was far from over. Redemption would be a long road, but one she seemed willing to travel. In the end, it wasn't about winning or losing. It was about finding peace. And for Sam, that peace had a name: Lily. Thank you for joining me on this emotional journey. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible tales. See you in the next one.